Welcome to the podcast. Again, another lockdown edition. We're trying to do one a day, and today we've got Jake Taylor. Jake, welcome.
Good evening. How are you, Dom?
Yeah, good, thank you. Right,
Good day to you.
so obviously those that don't know about you, if you give us a bit of an intro, how you got into it, who you are, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so basically, I'm Jake Taylor. I'm from Bristol, and I'm just a carp angler. I don't fish for anything else, I'll be honest. I just love carp fishing. It started for me when I was 10 years old. The story goes, basically, my dad went up to Greg's, got a tuna and sweet corn roll. That turned out to be stale. And later on that afternoon, we then went fishing to a local lake called Bitterwell, and that's where I caught my first carp. And yeah, ever since then, the passion for carp fishing has just grew and grew and grew. And it's just underneath my
Yeah.
skin all the time, mate. I can't stop thinking about it.
So you were straight in at the deep end with a carp.
Yeah, mate.
None of this
No,
cutting your teeth with roach,
no,
gudgeon,
no.
all that
Yeah, I
crap.
went and done some floater fishing, like literally with a bit of crusty bread. And then like there was a stage when I was probably about 13. I then like started doing a bit of pole fishing just because I got a bit bored, sat behind the alarms and stuff like that. And then entered a few matches, and then thought, oh, actually, I want to go back carp fishing. And then that's when I really got into like my match scene. So getting into like the British Young Carpers Angling Championship from about 12, 13, and then I ended up winning it in 2010, which is
Yeah.
still probably one of my biggest achievements and one I'll never ever forget.
God, that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, scary, isn't it, mate? Just
Oh,
goes.
wow.
It's unbelievable, mate. It is. Well, yeah, I
Crikey.
don't know where these 10 years have gone, mate. It's scary.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
is scary. But
And how old were you, did you say, when
uh,
you won that?
I was 16, mate. Yeah,
Right.
16.
Talk us through that a bit, because there must be a bit of a story behind that.
Yeah, so basically I won my qualifier on the Tuesday. So I was
Yeah.
feeling really, really confident, obviously knew what was happening, knew what tactics to take there. And then on the Friday during the draw, I came out, I think it was 23rd out of like 30 people. So straight away, I'm, down in the dumps thinking, well, I'm not going to win this,
Yeah.
I think I had my 17th choice peg. So I got to the swim, and to be honest, mate, I wasn't the best 16-year-old kid. I must admit, I do feel sorry for mum and dad. I wasn't the best teenager, so I threw a very big tantrum, as many other teenagers probably did at the time. And I remember getting the gear out of the van, standing in the swim, and then about, I don't know, 100 yards out, I saw one fish, then another, then another. And then instantly my attitude towards the competition just changed. And I was like, right, it's
Yeah.
game on, they're here.
Yeah.
And yeah, mate, it was just absolutely carnage from the moment the hooter went on the Friday to the Sunday. It was just non-stop action. I think I ended up winning with £325. 27 fish, I think it was, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I'm sat here now, I've actually got a collage in my back room with like the whole event. So like from the qualifier,
Oh, brilliant.
and then all the way through to the final. Yes, yeah, it's a very proud moment for myself, I must admit.
Oh, wow.
And obviously with what's going on at the moment, this year's event's been cancelled,
Yeah.
which is the right thing to do. And I always try and help out every year because it's something that got me on into the industry. So
Yeah.
I think it's
That's
only
really
right
good.
giving something back, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. No, that's really good to hear. And obviously, you're a Baitworks user as well, aren't you? You use
Yeah,
Mark's
mate.
Bait.
I've used Mark's Bait for Christ 14 years now. I think it is, maybe
Yeah.
a bit longer than that. Yes. So
Yeah, brilliant. And so, sort of moving on from your early days, where are you flitting about now? Can you say, or are they private on publicity? Or
yeah. So the one I'm fishing at the moment, well, can't fish at the moment, is non-publicity. Which
Mhm.
is I said lake up in the Cotswolds.
Yeah,
Mr. Bryant runs a syndicate, and the other one I've just dropped. So Blue Water, which I'm sure many of you have probably heard of, which used to be
yeah,
Honda, which Marks took over. I've just dropped that ticket purely because I'm in the process now of buying a house, so
right.
that money is going to go towards maybe some plastering or helping towards the renovation of the house. So
Yeah,
unfortunately, I've had to drop a few tickets, mate, and just keep one because I don't think I'm going to be doing any fishing really, mate, until oh, I don't know. It could be like a
yeah,
6 month job, so could be
Yeah,
September. But you got to do these things. You know what I mean? The fish are always
exactly.
going to
Yeah,
be there, mate. So
you got to do adult stuff, haven't you?
yeah,
That's the
man.
thing. As you get older,
Yeah, mate. Yeah,
you have to do. Yeah,
yeah.
what
Like
life
I said,
throws you.
like you know, I'm the same as you, mate. I work 5 days a week, and I go fishing every other weekend. So
Hmm.
you know, I think that's the best way to do. I couldn't fish full time, mate. No way.
No, well, I did. Just as we were going into lockdown, I did over on one of the lakes in the Cotswolds Tuesday till Sunday, and I got to
Tuesday to Sunday.
Yeah, just because we were virtually on lockdown and I was avoiding going into people's houses.
Yeah. Fair play to you, mate.
And I got to the Friday and I was like, I was just just felt weird. I thought, probably go home now, really. But I thought, if I go home, I can't really do anything. I can't work.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because when I used to go to France quite a bit, so I used to go to Gigantica, right? And obviously that's a 7-night stay. So, mate, that is hard work. You get into, like, say, the 5th night and you're on the bed chair, you're in the same swim, do you know what I mean? And it's just like, yeah, mate, it's especially if you're not on them as well, that lake can really eat you up and chew you out, man.
Punish you.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of punishers, how do you deal with punishers on the bank, Jake?
I'll just try and be as polite as possible.
Well, if that doesn't work,
then I don't know really. You can't. I think because I'm in the position I am, I'm representing companies whilst I'm fishing.
Yeah.
You know, I've always got to stay polite and speak to people. And when I'm fishing lakes like Linear, you're going to get a lot of people coming up to you and ask you what's going on. So I like to help as many people as possible. And if someone's fishing next to me and they haven't got a clue, not being rude to anyone, I'll try my hardest to make sure that I'm making their weekend. You know what I'm saying? So if I can see they're struggling, I'll go around, chat to them, point them in the right direction. And, you know, maybe like in the morning, they could have come around and said, I had 5 fish last night. And you're like, right, that's amazing. Sound. Do you know what I mean? What you've asked them to do or what you're trying to help them out, it's worked. It's nice. But I do get a lot of people that I bump into and they just make like snidey remarks about things. And you just got to, you know, get on with it. Do you know what I mean? You just ignore people like that.
Yeah. Again, it's pretty jealousy, isn't it?
Yeah, mate. A lot of people, I don't know what's going on in this industry nowadays, but everyone wants to be someone. Do you know what I mean, mate? But it's not.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it?
Yeah, it's honestly not all what it's cut out to be, mate. This industry is very cutthroat. Let's say that.
Yeah, and snaky, I suppose.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
No, it's good. Yeah, you make a valid point then as well. Yeah, if you're representing the company.
Yeah. I think it's I don't know, I'm always a polite person. I like to have a laugh at people, do you know what I mean? I treat people as, you know, as I want to be treated. So if someone's gonna be, you know what, for a laugh and a joke, that's sound, but if someone's gonna be a dickhead, then I'm gonna be a dickhead back to them. It's as simple as that. Yeah. You know what it's like, mate, working on building sites, we come across all sorts of people.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's almost as well, you got that on building sites, and then it's the same thing in catfishing. It's like a wide spectrum.
Yeah, mate. Exactly.
Personality types, isn't it?
Yeah, mate. It's unbelievable. It is crazy. Yeah. Because like you see, like the mad people you see on the building sites, and then you see someone fishing, you think you remind me of this bloke, and yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, all sorts, definitely.
Yeah, mate. What about yourself?
Before you ask me, what do you do on the building site?
So I'm a data engineer, so I pull like your Wi-Fi cables in and like your fiber optics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm working on a big project at the moment in Woking on a Hilton hotel. It's like 4,500 cables. It's mate. It's a big job. It's a lot of stress, but I enjoy it, mate. I love being on site.
Yeah.
I couldn't do an office job, I don't think. I love having the crack, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And every day's different, isn't it?
Yeah, mate, absolutely. I think being on building site to me is like almost being in school. You can still have a laugh and joke with your mates, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Apart from obviously the health and safety side of things, but
yeah,
I think that's only going to get more stricter as the years go on, mate. Because the job I was on today, I know obviously what's all going on, but I had to wear like a thing for my hair, so my hair couldn't go anywhere. Face mask, everything, earmuffs. It was crazy, but
are you still rocking that man bun then?
Just about. Oh, quality, fair play. What about you? How do you deal with punishers? Do you get many people asking you questions?
Yeah, again, I sort of forget that because I do this. Now I've had people say, "Oh, I thought I recognised your voice" and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But equally, if I'm angling, and I get. Let's be careful how we word this.
The thing is, though, you fish different lakes to me, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I can
probably more.
appreciate probably what you're going to say now, because
Yeah,
if
open
I was
access.
fishing certain lakes that
Yeah,
you're fishing, I probably wouldn't tell anyone anything.
yeah. So you got that aspect of things, but as well, if I've just got someone that I'm clearly not going to get that is going to potentially ruin my session,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
make it blatantly clear that
yeah.
I'm not going to want to talk to them,
hmm
because it's like our free time is
Yeah,
precious. The
100%,
last thing
mate.
I want to be done is
Yeah, mate. You know
rocked
what it's
up in a
like.
bivvy next to a complete tard
Yeah,
that is just ruining my day. So I'm quite good at making people stay away.
yeah. But that's fair enough, because places where you're fishing, if you got something going, the
Yeah,
last thing you want to do is tell anyone.
yeah, exactly. And obviously,
Because
then again, on the other thing on the lake that I'm going to be fishing this year, obviously when we get back on there,
yeah,
the bite's hard to come by just because of the sheer size of the place.
yeah.
So so you don't want people sort of sheeping you and following you around.
It's
And
really
just that
hard
way
to keep
getting
something
spots
quiet as well,
going.
though, isn't it? Because obviously
Yeah,
a lake like
yeah.
that, a big lake, but it's also easy access for people, which is another thing that annoys me, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And you tend to get a lot of the campers on there as well.
That's the trouble, mate.
So
There's no that's what I like about like horseshoe. You can only stay in swims for a certain amount of time, and that
yeah,
stops people from, you know,
yeah.
staying in the swim for ages. And I think you can't go back to the lake after a certain amount of hours as well, is it? I
Right.
think.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't do like swim rotation and all that stuff, which is good.
People always
Yeah, no,
moan about horseshoes rules, right? But rules are amazing.
I love Horseshoe.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a special place, I think, and it's
It's a
coming on really well, isn't it? Again.
oh yeah, mate. Again, that was another lake that I cut my teeth on. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
yeah. If anyone is listening to this and wants a lake that gives you everything, then Horseshoe is
yeah,
that lake.
yeah. And the way those stockies are packing on the weight as well.
It's mad, doing it? How a lake can give you everything. That's what makes
Yeah,
it so
yeah,
special.
yeah.
All
Because
your
it's a big expanse of water, isn't it? Horseshoe as
oh
well.
yeah, mate. It's an easy hour and a half walk round, isn't it? Easy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you'll find
Exactly.
them as well if as long as you keep walking.
Yeah, and they always used to sort of go around in a couple of packs, didn't
Yeah,
they?
it was
You could
crazy, mate.
almost time it, like you'd get bites on your right hand rod, middle rod, left rod,
Yeah.
and then they just push through eventually to the next guy.
Yeah, one day
Um,
me and Dad we were fishing down in the bottom of Winter Bay, and we had a
yeah,
couple of fish in the morning, but it was boiling hot. It was in the summer, and we just decided, right, we'll set up a floater rod each and just go for a walk.
yeah,
So I remember Dad starting at the bottom of Summer Bay, and I like started up like halfway. Then I made
yeah.
myself up to like the headland, mate. I put a pouch of mixtures out and didn't. Then I put my Polaroids on and didn't realize how many fish were coming into the bay. Oh my god, mate! Then I rang Dad, like, Dad, you need to get up here, and he came up, and then we started spodding out mixers, and we managed to keep like I don't know, there must have been hundreds of fish there, mate.
Yeah.
And I think if I remember rightly, we had about 10 or 12 fish in a day, mate. It was amazing. And
Oh,
then like
brilliant.
we then went back to Winter Bay on the night time and caught nothing, but we were just constantly looking through the camera, like everyone was like
Yeah,
a fully scaler. Some of them we didn't even know if they were a common. Do you know what I mean? They had that many scales.
yeah. I found that on there. You're almost just bivvying up somewhere to
Yeah.
recover, ready for the day, aren't
Yeah,
you? If
that's
you're doing
exactly
that,
what it is, mate. Yeah,
yeah, you're not really fishing at night. You're just recovering, and then you
yeah,
go
yeah,
and find them in the daytime
yeah.
and just getting on them.
You definitely see the people that are willing to put the effort in up there, mate. They always catch
Yeah.
fish.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely. In that place, effort really does equal reward, doesn't it? If you
Oh, mate,
start, if
massively.
you can be mobile and find them, you'll catch them definitely.
Yeah, like I think the best thing to tackle it like that is almost like you say, set up camp somewhere, use that as like your base, and
Mm.
then literally set up in the morning on a wheelbarrow with just all your essentials and just keep walking.
Yeah,
Because in the summer they get, as you know, they get like a rod length out in Summer Bay. It's carnage.
yeah. Fun playing them in that shallow water as well.
Yeah, the mate, it's crazy. What a place! What a place!
Yeah, I remember hooking a tench in there and having this pike follow it in. The tench must
No
be about
way.
£3, and a good sized pike. He was
Yeah.
just stalking it. And I was fully expecting him to hit it.
Did it hit
Sort of
it?
again,
No.
no, just watching it. It was like right under your feet. I was thinking, it's behind you. Yeah,
And there's you like just reeling it in with like a size
yeah.
4 hook.
Like side to side like the world's biggest lure.
Fair play, mate. Fair play.
Yeah, I'd imagine that's the sort of water that I'd imagine there's big everything in, isn't it?
Oh,
It's a
mate, yeah.
rich water, weedy.
Yeah, they got some really big pike in there, haven't they, as well? Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
what happened to the tench fishing really, because it used to be amazing on there. But I fished there a couple of years ago. Just did like
mm,
a few weekends. I think I did like 3 weekends on the bounce, and I
yeah,
started to use like loads of pellet because I could get away with it. Whereas before,
right,
if you put pellet in, that is it, game over. You would have just got
yeah,
tenched out, you know.
yeah,
Mate, and I was when was it? When was it? A couple of years ago in the summer, the tench fishers actually had an event on up there.
right,
And I got invited round. I was fishing in Winter Bay, and I got invited round. I got friendly with one of the blokes, and he was, "Oh, why don't you come and fish round in Summer Bay?" And I'm thinking, "Oh, I'm going to upset some people doing this." So I said to the bloke, I said, "Look, are you donating any money to your cause or anything?" He's like, "Look, if you just put 30 quid into the raffle, that'll cover you for fishing with us for the weekend." And I was like, "Right, there's no fish in Winter Bay. There's 30 quid." Went round, came back round, and we had a big barbecue and all that. And they were all saying like, "There's, the tension there. It's just not what it used to be." And I do really hope that it comes back to,
right,
being a prolific big tench water, because it
yeah,
used to get people come from all over the country just to fish for tench.
mm.
Unbelievable, mate.
Yeah, a good sized tench as well. It's a nice fish, isn't it?
Yeah, mate. I think the biggest one me and Dad caught was just under £9, and that's a
Yeah,
massive tench.
yeah, yeah.
The
Again, Manor Farm, I suppose, at Lynn as well. That's got some big ones in, hasn't it?
Oh
Big tench.
mate, have you seen how big some of them tench are? It's
I think
just
about my PB was in there. Just that was about like
was it?
nine eight or something.
It's
Yeah,
mad. It's mad isn't it, when you catch a fish like a tench or a bream that's like almost double figures. They are just
yeah,
huge.
yeah. You sort of don't expect it, do you?
No, I hate bream though, mate. Oh.
Yeah, like a sack of shit. Isn't it, really?
Yeah, the worst things ever. Don't even take any line.
No,
It's
I always try
terrible.
and just unhook them at my feet if possible.
Yeah,
Maybe get the
no,
net thing in.
yeah, no netting. Negative.
Yeah,
No, thank
yeah.
you.
Ruin the hook and the hook link. Lovely. um,
Terrible.
right, let's go on to a few stories. Everyone loves a story on here.
Yeah.
So it can even be a funny one, a capture one, whichever, a bit of both actually. If you've got one of each or a few of
Um.
each, shoot with that. What about a memorable capture?
Oh, mate.
I know you've got some
God, yeah,
absolute
there's loads.
chunks.
I'm probably gonna go with my first 40 pounder.
Yeah,
So the lake that obviously we can't really talk about too much, but I'm going to talk about it because we're talking about a memory.
yeah,
I was fishing that lake quite hard. I was being very successful, but I was spending most of my time watching all the fish, like their routes and all that.
right.
And I was fishing this particular swim. This year, I remember the water level being really down. It was when we had like one of the hottest summers ever.
Yeah,
And the water level, mate, was just, well, the owner had almost shut the lake and give us all of our money back. It was that bad. But anyway, I was watching these fish every weekend, mate. I just, when you've got the bug for a lake and you've just got to go fishing.
yeah,
Thankfully, my missus was really understanding and was like, "I understand that. You're spending time with me in
yeah,
the week. I don't want you around me in the weekend because all you're going to be thinking about and chatting about is this fish."
yeah,
This one particular weekend, we arranged to have like a big social with all the lads up there.
yeah,
So I managed. I don't know. Well, I just got up there Friday night before everybody else and made sure I got in a certain swim, and spent the afternoon just watching and baiting, watching and baiting. And this fish didn't turn up, and I was just
right.
sat there on my bed chair in the night time thinking, should I be down the other end of the lake? But for like the past 3 weeks, that fish has
Mm,
turned up in the same area, same time. But today, or that day, sorry, it didn't turn
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
So I remember just sitting on my bed chair thinking, am I going to cast out tonight? And I just made the decision not to cast out and just put a load of bait out. So
right.
that was quite a big thing for me then, because I was thinking,
Yeah,
what am I doing? I've never done this before in my life. So I
yeah,
put like half a bucket of bait out, and then in the morning this fish rolled, and I was like, this is a big fish. And then everybody started rocking up about 12 o'clock midday. So
mm,
then we started having a barbecue about 1 o'clock. I haven't casted rods out, baited up, or anything at this stage. And then about 3 o'clock, I decided to say to the lads, look, I'm going to go back up the top and flick the rods out and put some bait out. And then, later on, we'll continue the party or whatever. They're like, yeah, sound no worries. Because literally the whole of the road bank was just full of people where obviously just everyone wanted a big social. But I wanted a bit of both, I wanted to try and catch this fish and have a laugh and joke with the lads. But I just couldn't stay away from not getting my rods out. So I've gone back up there, chucked the rods out, put a bit of bait out, and then the geezer fishing next to me was Dave Gorthorn.
oh, yeah,
He's then followed me up, and he's bought a crate of Thatchers, and I was like, sound. I said, "Are you going to get your rods out, Dave?" He's like, "Yeah, me and you will just stay up here," because he wanted to get his rods out anyway. And we'll just have a few cans. I was like, "Right, sweet." He's like, "Oh, I've even bought some cheese and some biscuits." I was like, "Sound, this is going to be perfect." So, chuck the rods out. I thought, "Oh, should I put some bait out?" I said, "Fuck it." So I put 10 spoms out. And I remember then, the last spom, I just started getting like vicious liners.
Hmm.
And I was thinking, there's no way that they're on the bait straight away. And then next thing you know, mate, the left hand rod is just absolutely melted off. And I was playing this fish for a good 20 minutes. And you know when you sort of think, wow, I haven't hooked anything like this for ages. Like, what could this be? And in the back of your mind, you're like, is it? Is it not? And you're just trying to concentrate. And I got Dave going, what's going on, mate? I'm like, just calm down. Please just calm down, because my nerves are going. And then we got the fish in about 20 yards out, and I could just see the shoulders come out. And then it's just gone on this almighty run. But literally right underneath my feet, there's a massive weed bed. So he's done me in this weed bed. And Dave's like, what are you going to do? I said, right, Dave, I'm going to walk out, because I could walk out to about my waist and get above it. And I said, as soon as I say chuck me the net, just chuck me the net. And mate, I've got above this fish and it's come up, and I could just see it straight away. But where I was so shocked, I couldn't speak. And I just remember just waving my right hand like, just trying to speak. And then all of a sudden, this net's come flying over. My legs are like, I'm like Bambi on ice, like, and then it's then looked at me, and I could just see the hook right nailed in the bottom of the lip. And I was like, right, I've got one chance. This is coming back. And as I put a net under it, it's gone on a run, but dived into the net. And I just remember just giving it the massive shout, just going mad. But then everybody on the road bank thought it was on a wind up. So me and Dave are waving at everyone, come on, la 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 la, and they're all going, fuck off, you wankers, you're lying and all that. And we're like, no, we're being deadly serious. And then no one came for about 10 minutes. And me and Dave what are we going to do? And Dave's like, I'm going to ring him. So Dave rang him. And then they all came up. And they were like, we thought you were joking. And then they were like, oh, I bet you've only got a little one. I was like, honestly, look in the net. They looked in the net, mate, and then it was just amazing. That was my first 40, and to share it with 10 other blokes, mate, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was just, and because it was the first 40 for the lake as well, it was part of history for the lake. And then I just remember everyone coming up taking photos, everyone laughing, and then I had no spare clothes, and Mark was like, I'm going to go home, because Bryant was there. I'm going to go home, get you some spare clothes. I was like, all right, mate, sound. So then I literally reeled in. We then went back down to the car park, carried on the party, basically just having a good chin wag, getting pissed, basically, celebrating the capture. And then Mark rocked up with some spare clothes and a bottle of champagne. And we all had a glass of champagne. It was nice, mate.
Oh, brilliant.
But it's moments like that, when I was saying, sharing moments with people that you enjoy fishing with just means so much more to you. I think if I would have caught that fish, say, just for example, on a day ticket, it wouldn't have meant as much as that fish, if that makes sense.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, completely. Like you say, it's all about sharing that buzz, isn't it?
Oh, mate. And to have 10 blokes there that are as happy as you are to catch a fish is just, in a way, I've never experienced that. Do you know what I mean? It was just,
it's really rare.
Yeah, it was amazing. And then all night long, everyone was just, looking at pictures of the fish, and my phone was just going into meltdown. Mate, that fish has now gone on to be, almost £50. So it's crazy. Crazy, mate.
Body,
There's some amazing fish in there.
Yeah.
But there's amazing fish in all the lakes up where we fish, mate. So we're very lucky to have lakes like that, mate.
So close by as well.
Yeah, and it'd be nice if, they stay as quiet as they are at the moment. But I think with social media, mate, we can't hide anymore, can we?
Ticking time bomb, isn't it?
You look at places like Neybridge, for example. What a place that was.
Yeah.
And then all it takes is just an otter to spend a few seasons on there, and it's crazy, man. So sad, man. A place like that.
Yeah, that much heritage as well.
That's what I mean, mate. It's carnage, isn't it?
Right, what about that fish you had from Gigantica?
Oh, the fudges? Yeah. So that's another funny story, really. where should we start with this story? Oh, so I'll start from the start. So, basically, I used to go on Danny Fairbrass's mates trips, right? So, we used to go with me and Bryant and Dad. We used to travel down to London and stay at a bloke's house called Andy Gibbons.
Yeah.
And then this one year, so when was this? I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago now, Dom. Mark couldn't make it. I don't know if it was if it was because he was in his accident. I don't think it was. I just don't think he could make it.
Yeah.
So we decided to take one of our other friends.
Right.
So it was me, Dad, one of our other friends called Lee. We ended up going together. So Danny Fairbrass was going absolutely crazy on the WhatsApp group saying, lads, like the week before, lads, the lake's fishing terrible. What are we going to do? Blah, blah. Basically, Danny thinks way too much about his fishing. I personally think anyway.
Right.
And he was like having a meltdown before we even got there. And I knew from previous years the last thing you can do is worry about that place because the draw is out of your hands. So you can't worry about that lake until you get there. Okay, yeah, you can do all your homework, seeing what the wind's going to do and stuff like that, but you can't really worry until you get in your swim. Do you know what I'm saying? So it was on the Saturday morning. Me, Dad, and Lee went out for a breakfast, then headed up to Baitworks to get our bait, which then we took 100 kilos of boilies between us because it's always better to take more than not enough because if you get in a certain swim, you're putting probably 5 to 10 kilos of boilie out a night.
Right, crikey.
Because it's a mad lake. Like blue water, mate, is very similar to Gigantica. You've got to put a lot of bait out, but you're only getting a couple of takes. You know, they just come in and wipe you out basically. So we've then gone up to Mark, and Mark's like loading the van with us, and you could tell that Mark was a bit like, "Fuck's sake, I wish I was going." And I just remember Mark was saying, "One of you's gonna catch fudges." And we were like, "No way, you know, that's not gonna happen." So we then left there, done the long trip down towards Andy's house on the outskirts of London, down by, I think we got the tunnel. Yeah, we got the tunnel that year. So we stayed at his house, and this bloke's lovely, got us all fish and chips, had a nice chinwag, but I just wanted to get a sleep, mate, because I knew that as soon as I go to sleep, I wake up, we're going to Gigantica. So we woke up in the morning to Andy, like, he's got a parrot, and this parrot's loud as fuck. And I was sleeping next to this parrot, and like every other hour, this parrot would just be like, and you're like, fucking, if you was in my house, you'd be outside. So I woke up, and he's like, "Do you sleep well?" I said, "Sleep well." That parrot of yours, he don't shut up. And he was like, "Oh, geez, you have to get your head down in the van." Anyway, you know what it's like when you're buzzing to go on a trip. You can't sleep. You can't sleep, mate. So we get down to the tunnel, meet up with the rest of the lads, get in the queue. But we managed to get in the queue an hour, like on the hour train before. So it was like happy days. We're going to get there sooner. So we're flying along. It's about a 4.5 hour trip, 4 hour trip to get down there. And me being me, I remember walking into the service station thinking that they can speak English. Obviously, they can't speak English at all.
You just need to speak slower and wave your hands around. That's the trick.
That's exactly what I wanted to do. So I asked Dan, I said, "Dan, what have you got, mate?" He said, I got a flan, geez. I'm thinking, what the fuck's a flan? So I've gone in there, and this lady's like looked at me, and I'm like, "All right, love." And she's like looking at me like, "What is this place?"
My babber.
And she's like looking at me. I was like, "Can I have a flan?" And she's like looking at me like, "Can I?" And I'm like, "Can I have a flan, please?" And then in the end, Andy's just pointed at what I wanted, and she's like looked at me and smiled, and I'm thinking, "What the hell's going on?" And then I walk outside, and Dan's like, "What happened?" I said, "Well, asked her if I can have a flan, and if she was right, love." And he's like, "These people don't understand what you're saying." So have you ever had a flan? It's like a custard, like pastry thing, like a big triangle thing. They're amazing, mate.
I know what a flan is.
Yeah. But I didn't know what they were. I just thought, I honestly thought it was like a pie or something, but it wasn't. Obviously,
it's like a sweet, isn't it?
Like yeah. So I was in the van, like, God, these are bloody lovely. I'll be getting one of these on the way home.
Go back.
Yeah. So we then flew back down to the lake. And Danny and the two other lads in his van, they got there like half an hour before us because, mate, when Danny's driving, he flies along. You can't keep up with him. If you keep up with him, you're just going to spend twice as much on fuel. So we just took a long drive down there. We got there straight away. Atmosphere is like doom and gloom, because the bailiffs have relayed what's happened the week before. Nothing's come out, and it's just like, oh no, we're here now. You can start feeling that it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I remember the previous year I got first out of the draw, and I knew that I wasn't going to get lucky again. So I've said all right to all the boys. We had a laugh and a joke, open up a can of beer, and then we just do the draw basically. So the bailiff's gone, right, who wants to go first? And I was like, I'll go first, put my hand in last, and I was like, oh no. Couldn't believe it. So everyone's chose their favourite swim, and I was like, well, I want to swim like a bit of open water. So I chose a swim called the Stink, and I ended up fishing a spot like over like light weed at like 27 wraps. But when you're in a swim and you're not feeling it, that's exactly what I was like for like the first night. When you just sat there like, oh, this is not going to happen. And then I decided, right, I'm in a shit swim. I need to make the most of my time. So I decided to set my alarm like 5 o'clock every day just to wake up before everyone else and just see what's going on in the lake. So like Sunday morning, nothing was happening. I just carried on fishing the same swim, baiting up like with 3 kilos of boilies and some maize. And then it got to like Monday morning, mate. And it, I don't know, it just felt like something was going to happen. So I'm sat there having like a turbo coffee. It's just getting light. And a fish way out long, probably out in front of my dad, because my dad was fishing around in Coast Point. It's come flying out of the water, and I was like, bloody hell, this is the first fish I've seen in like where I can actually see the water.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, Sam, so I'm drinking this coffee. Next thing you know, down to my left, mate, this fish. I don't know, I'm going to say as fudgies, I'm going to put it out there. This fish, about 40, 50 yards out, is just, mate, his head and half his body's come out. And if I wouldn't have been looking at the lake, I would never have seen it because it made no noise.
Yeah.
It's rolled.
Straight up, straight down.
Mate. It's rolled and then gone down and all these bubbles. And then another fish is rolled, a smaller fish, but it was probably about £50, me saying it's a smaller fish. And then all this fizzing, and I was like, right, I'm not going to disturb that area too much, but on my marker rod, I just had a lead. So I just literally flicked the lead to where the bubbles were, and it's just gone smash. And I was like, you don't get drops like this in Gigantica very often. And I was like, right, okay, I'm going to have to do some investigating here. I pulled it back, and there was just a 6-foot strap of gravel, mate. And I was like, shit, I've never found gravel in the last 3 years I've been here. So I decided, right, I'm going to bait that up. So I waited for all the bubbles to stop, and it got to about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So they were there for ages, mate, ripping this spot up. And I'm like, you just sat on your hands, like, do I put a rod on it or do I wait? And I was like, no, I'm going to stick to my plans. So I made a massive bucket of bait up. And it just consisted of this. You're going to like this. So I walked down the margins, and they got loads of snags there. And I took all the snags off, mate, and they're just full of zebra mussels. So I put loads of zebras in this mix. I keep them whole because I don't like crushing them up. I'd rather keep them whole so the fish are getting the crunch. If you crush them up, I think that's why they eat them, mate. It's for the pure crunch factor. So I left them all whole. So I broke them up, mate. My hands were in bits, but I just knew that something like this is going to trick up, a special fish. About 5 kilos of boilies. I know that's a lot of boilies. Loads of liquid fish. Loads of maize. So I made a massive bucket up, and I just chucked it straight on this spot. And this spot, mate, was 12 and a half wraps out, right? And I'm baiting up to the left. And I remember going round at dinner, and Fairbrass and a lad saying, what are you doing? I said, what do you mean? They go, you found the spot in close of you? I said, yeah. They're like, why? And I told them, they were like, fair play, no one's ever fished that close in. And then, when someone says that, you think, well, there you go, I'm on to a winner here. So we've gone back after dinner, and I've fished that spot, and I remember all night long, mate, I'm just getting liners and liners. But because of what you've seen that previous morning, you're just shitting yourself, basically. Every time you get a beep, you're like, oh my God. But anyway, the night passed, nothing happened, and I'm just sat there like, oh no, what do I do? There's loads of fizzing in the morning, nothing was happening, no liners or anything. So I waited till about lunchtime, reeled in. I'd done the same thing, but I baited with more particle this time. So about 2 kilos of boilies, but probably about 5 kilos of maize.
Yeah.
I then changed my. I was fishing helicopters then, but I then changed my setup to a running leg clip, which is what I usually use. But for some reason, I was using helicopters that year and just was in the rhythm of using them. So I've gone back
Right.
to fishing a running leg clip because basically, because it's barbless hooks, mate, they use the lead against you on there.
Right.
As soon as they feel that lead and you've got any fixed lead, mate, they just, oh mate, it's carnage. And sorry, if they can get rid of the lead, as soon as they get rid of the lead, they can get rid of the hook. But if you keep that lead on, they just can't deal with it. So I've baited
Right.
up, gone round for tea, and I just remember just leaving there thinking tonight's the night. You know, and you just think, right, everything's going to go to plan. And I decided not to fish my other 2 rods. I just thought, right, I'm going to just put 1 rod out. And then, you know, when you
Yeah.
just sat there thinking, have I made the right decision? You just got all these things going through your head. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know what I'm doing.
The longer the time goes on, sort of
Yeah, you know
thing.
what I mean? I'm in Gigantica. I don't get many options. Many chances to fish out here. I'm not going to fish 3 rods. What am I doing? And then I just thought, nope, stick to my guns. You know, I don't want two lines going out, 27 wraps. You know, all this shit going through my head. Getting a bit paranoid, really. Do you know what I mean? So I put this rod out, and it's just gone down, Dom, and it's just gone smashed. I'm like, oh, I'm just leave it there. And then, mate, I don't know what time it was. It's all a bit of a blur for me now. I've gone round to see my dad, like, quickly, just to have a quick beer with him, and I've had a couple of bleeps on my receiver, and I knew it was only 1 rod. So then I've cycled back round, sat on my hands, getting a few bleeps throughout the night, and then probably, I don't know what time it was. I can't really remember. Put a thing on time. The bobbins just pulled up and kept dropping down like a brain bite, and I was like, well, I don't know what to do. Do you know what I mean? I've obviously got something on the end of it, and then it's pulled up and just stayed, but it wouldn't pull out the line clip. But the line, mate, was bowstring tight. It just wouldn't pull out the clip. So I was okay. So I picked up the rod, mate, tightened up the clutch, and it was just like, well, what do I do now? And it was like I was snagged. Honestly, mate, it was like, well, it's not moving. Then all of a sudden, this fish has just moved, and wherever this fish wanted to go, it just went. You couldn't do anything about it. So you're literally, it's just going left to right, and you're just trying to tire it out. But you know, after you spoke to like Danny, Mark, my dad, and all them other lads, when they catch these big fish, this is what they do. They just hold bottom. So you know straight away you've got a good fish. Anyway, I've got my head torch on. So the lads know that I've got a fish on. So the lad to my left, Chris, he's come down with Andy. So Andy's then grabbed the net. I've then said to Andy, right, now you boys are here. I'm going to turn my head torch on off, because there was a full moon. Then Dad's come round because he could see there was a load of commotion going on. And then basically it just went quiet, mate, because everyone could tell that it was a good fish. And then all of a sudden, mate, this fish has popped up, and you could see it in the moon. It's mad, I can see it now. And Andy's just said to me, walk back, mate, walk back. And I'm walking back, and I could just see him like double scoop. I dropped my rod, ran down. Everyone's ran down, and he's gone. Oh, geese! I'm like, what? I put my head torch on, mate, and honestly, I can't explain to you how big this fish was, mate. It was just, oh, mate, unbelievable. And then Danny cycled round because he could hear everyone going mad. I reckon they heard me in Paris, mate. I was going absolutely bonkers. He's come round and he's looked at the fish because I was like, oh mate, it's definitely a 60, blah blah blah. And he's come in, diving through everyone. What we got, geese? What we got? And he's looked at the tail, and in Fudge's tail, it's got like a little dink out of it. He's like, mate, there's Fudges. You got Fudges, geese? And I'm like, yeah, just going absolutely mad. And then we weighed it and that, mate, and just bang on £80. And oh my god, mate, I just remember just sat there looking at the sling, like waking up, just touching the sling, making sure it's still there and all that. And then we woke up in the morning and it was like, right, photos time. But I didn't realise that everyone from the road lake knew that I caught the fish. Right. Fucking hell, mate. Every man and their dog was there, and I'm there with this fish. I got this weight belt on. I'm trying to pick it up. Oh, mate, I thought I was going to shit myself. It was terrible. It was so heavy. What is it, like 37 kilos? It's almost like 2 bags of plaster that moves. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like holding it like this. Yeah, I'm like, "Look, take a picture." And then Danny's like, "Lift his head up." I'm fucking, lift his head. I'm going to drop the fucking thing in a minute. Just take a photo. Oh, it's terrible. But, mate, mate, honestly. And then after I caught that fish that day, I've done all the photos and that. Everyone was in a massive, great big, everyone was just buzzing.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that we were going to have like a cheese and wine and champagne party that night. So then I rocked up for tea, and I thought, well, no one's brought their receivers round with them. Do you know what I mean, mate? We just got absolutely. Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, it's just I'll never, ever forget that moment. And I thank people that were on that trip and Danny for allowing me to go over there and fish there, mate. Because I'm never ever going to probably beat that, mate. No way. And it's really hard to explain to people when people say to you, "Oh, what was it like?" You just can't explain to it, mate. It literally is. It's wide from the inside of my hand to my elbow, it's just ridiculous.
Mad, isn't it? Do you want to fire up the live in a minute?
Yeah, mate, we can do that. That'll be sound. Do you want to pause this now, or do you want to keep going?
Well, we might as well just keep going, I think.
Yeah, right, mate.
I think on this software thing, if we pause it, I then have to completely stop it and set up a new recording.
All right, mate. Well, people on the podcast, we're going to go live on Instagram now and see if we get any questions. If they're going to be rude ones, we won't.
I'll tell you what, while I'm setting it up, mate, why don't you talk a bit about like solid bag fishing? Because you're a bit handy at that, aren't you?
Yeah, so solid bag fishing is something that, I've done probably since I've started fishing, mate. And basically, obviously, being really, really, really good friends with Mark, me and my dad, we're very, we just like little edges, Yeah. So we sat down with Mark a long time ago and was like, he was asking us what we want out of a bag mix, and we basically told him, and he came up with this bag mix. And we used it, and we had the best season we ever had. But then he just decided not to make it anymore. But he's still got the recipes, and hopefully one day he's going to bring this back out. But anyway, we then got into conversation with Mark and was like, right, we're going to add all these.
Join the live, mate. Sorry to jump in. Sorry. Just join. Sorry.
Yeah. So we ended up basically sitting down with Mark and saying, look, we want to add this. What do you reckon? And he was like, yeah, sweet. So basically now we add loads of different powders to our bag mix, and it's almost basically it's like a active bag mix. So I use a lot of oils with my solid bags, and because I use a lot of dry particles, it's basically a bag that works for you. So because the oil rises, what's going on here? The live's getting a bit weird. Because the oil rises and so do the dry particles. It's just like with a column. So like in the spring, obviously people say about single hook baits and that. Yeah. Well, for me, I'd much rather chuck out a solid bag, loaded with attractions. You know what I mean?
Right.
Don't get me wrong, single hook baits and zigs are amazing, but I think this time of year now, as they're waking up, oh mate, they're absolutely deadly.
No one can
solid
see
bags.
You, turn your camera sideways a bit, mate.
There we go. Let's see if we can see
it. Face as fat as yours, but you still can't see it.
That's it, mate. You think my head would fit in any camera? But yeah, so solid bags. There's just they're just absolutely deadly. But there's loads of things you can do. You can just make a solid bag mix with just pellets, mate. That'll still catch you fish. But adding like powders like Mark does, super fish mix, krill powders, and then like adding your sugar. That's all gone Pete Tong, hasn't it, Dom? The camera's had a wobbly. Let me just
I like
take
that
charge.
Super fish mix of Mark's. That's
it's nice,
good
mate.
stuff. I managed to spill some in my barrow.
Did you?
Thing, or punctured or something. Yeah.
Well, at least it's better than spilling hell, mate.
Yeah, or in the sleeping bag.
No, terrible. But yeah, like so, adding all them powders, and then I've started using recently. He does that tiger nut stuff, the crushed tiger nuts, and that's really dry, but that's really, really oily. And obviously, like I say, adding the oil to that, basically, when your bag dissolves, you've just got a working bag, mate. And
nice.
Yeah, when I fish up Brasenose too, I try and do like a couple of spring sessions and just fish single solid bags, just doing days.
Right.
And literally all I'll be doing is just chucking 3 random solid bags, loading them up with oil, mate, and yeah, they are absolutely
Yeah,
deadly.
nice. Yeah.
What about you? Do you
Yeah.
use solid bags, Tom? Or
Yeah, I do, but it's just a faff, isn't it? I like the pre-tied leaders and all that, and you can
yeah,
get a load ready. But yeah, um,
it's yeah, I know what you mean. If a cast goes wrong,
yeah,
it's very annoying. But
yeah. It's
like I
definitely
say,
it's definitely a very confident way because you know wherever that lands, you're in with a good chance, aren't you? And
yeah,
there's no
absolutely.
tangles or anything. Yeah,
No,
definitely.
um,
Right, shall we see if we can get some questions on the go as well?
yeah. If not, we could jump on Facebook if
Yeah.
we can do that. Anyone got any
We
questions? We're currently recording a podcast. We are now live on Instagram. Mark Boyle,
uh,
what's happening?
state of it. I don't know.
Rude.
Right. Any
See what
questions then? Have we
happens.
got? What are some of your funny stories? I want to go and get a beer. So can you start a funny
Oh,
story for me or not? Any that are, we're close to
uh,
the watershed.
are they? Can they be fishing related, or do they can just be a funny story?
Either really, yeah. But if well, fishing related would make sense. But if not,
Yeah. Funny
plenty
story,
can be
fishing
found.
related. Oh, I've got a great one. I've got an absolute great one. I've got a good story. Yeah. So,
Okay, right.
do you want me to carry on just chatting about it, or should I wait for you to come back?
Talk more about some of your UK fish and your PBs and stuff like that as well. And then we'll just do it when I come back. It'll be 2 seconds.
Yeah, all right, mate. No worries. So, the past year, I have been fishing a couple of different venues, but concentrating mainly on a lake called Blue Water that Mark Bryant runs. And yeah, I've had a lot of good fish out there. So I think it was 18 fish. Um, I think it was 17 fish over £30. And then I think yeah, 340s as well. So yeah, it's an amazing lake and one that I'm gutted I've had to give the ticket up on, unfortunately. But like I said, like Dom said, and you've got to do adult things now. And with getting a house, you've just got to crack on and do adult things, unfortunately. But
Yeah, adult
um,
stuff gets. I've never been good at adulting, as they say. In my
no,
40s.
mate. Yeah,
I'm
so
40 now. I don't think I'm any different when I was 20. So it's
going back to this funny story. So,
yeah,
um, Mark's Lake basically it got ottered, right? So he put a post on Facebook saying, "Lads, we got to start doing a fence." And fair play, mate. Everyone on that lake for the next 6 weeks got together and we
yeah,
fenced the whole lake. I don't know if you've been around there or seen it, but
yeah,
we fenced the whole lake, mate, and it was just amazing. That galvanised the syndicate, mate. It just got everyone together. But this one weekend, we decided Friday and Saturday to go at the pub. So we'd
yeah.
go up to the pub, mate. It was amazing. There's loads of us in there drinking, getting absolutely bollocks. Our waders were outside, mate. We had our wet socks hanging over the fire in the baker's arms. It was
Yeah.
terrible, and yeah, it was mad. We were spending all that money, and the bloke wouldn't even lock us in. We spent.
Yeah.
There's about
I'm
12 of us.
surprised it probably stank.
He probably wanted rid of them smelly socks. Well,
Yeah,
anyway, the Saturday night we got there and we got really, really drunk. So there was like a path that you have to walk down because the fence wouldn't finish then. Yeah, you
yeah,
could like walk in through the back of the lake. So we're all walking in this group. But this path could only fit like 3 people wide. So we're walking along and chatting amongst each other and all that. And I started chatting to my mate Lee. And next thing you know, everyone's saying, "In it, Lee, in it." And he's disappeared. Look, we looked back, mate, and all you could see was this fucking head torch poking up through this ditch. And then all you could hear was, "Help! Help!" So we've all rushed back, we got him out of this ditch, and he said, "Fucking hell, that ditch was that deep, I lost my phone signal." Oh, mate, we was in absolute stitches. And so we were all laughing about it. We've gone back to the lake, had this massive fire, carried on drinking and that. And well, obviously we didn't realise that he basically scratched his eye, but we didn't know that. And in the morning, all we could hear was someone just, "Help, help." So we all woke up, ran up to where he was, and he's rolling around on the floor. And he's gone like that, opened his eye, and he's just got a scratch from a bramble straight across his eye. And mate, it was terrible. Like, his eye was all swollen. And fair play, Shane O'Grady took him to the local hospital and got it all cleaned up. But mate, it was so funny because we were all like, "In it, Lee, in it." And you just look back and you just see this massive head torch coming out of this ditch. Oh yeah, it was so funny.
Like something out of Trojan Horses.
Yeah, when he said to us, "Fuck me, lads,
Hey,
that deep was."
Coldstream.
It's like Trigger's broom, isn't it?
Oh,
Oh,
brilliant.
quality. Well, have you got any funny stories?
I'm trying to think of ones that I could say.
That's the trouble. I've got loads I could say, but they're not appropriate for the live.
Yeah, maybe we'll save that for after.
It's
the live
like
or something.
I'm not sure. Oh shit! I'm not sure if Mark Boyle's still in this chat.
I think he is. Yeah, just commenting it.
Basically, he'll like this story. Me, him, and Dave Gawthorne decided to go out in Cirencester.
Yeah.
And it all went Pete Tong. I got that drunk. Oh, mate, it was terrible. It was so bad. I didn't realise just how bad I got, but basically, I ended up in the sanctuary, in the field, yeah, with all the grass around. All the grass around me, and they videoed me. I don't remember any of this, and I used my dad's sleep system, and I woke up, mate, and I was sick all over it and that. And then the boys showed me the video. It was terrible, mate. It was such a bad night, but I didn't realise just how bad I was, mate. They were showing me videos of what I was like in the taxi and how abusive I was. Oh, it's terrible.
Abusive drunk. Is there a drink that turns you into
that? Yeah, probably vodka. Yeah, everyone's a wanker when I'm drinking vodka.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? How is that one? Everyone's got that one drink.
One drink, yeah. But I'm sure my dad would argue on the live that I'm always a wanker. What about yourself? Is there a certain drink that sends you into?
Not really. I avoid cider, I think, more just because I put myself off it as a kid.
Yeah.
At the park.
Yeah.
I think it was Diamond White at the time. But just a smell of cider now. I'm like, what? No, thanks.
Yeah. I remember like the girls used to drink like Lambrini and that, like big bottles of Lambrini. Oh, mate. Yeah. Oh, it's terrible.
I'll tell you what, I reckon, right, if we wrap up the podcast now, we might keep the live going for a bit because we're at 51 minutes. So, yeah, we'll pause the podcast now.
I will.
Jake, thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks, Dom. Happy days, mate. Hopefully see you on the bank soon, mate.